Oh, here I am live, and I'm at my beautiful Shangri-La of a library, the South County. And it's interesting how the whole thing of aesthetics and ownership, proprietorial ownership of ideas, you know, and how people try to steal things, and everyone steals. Good old James Joyce said he was just a paper clipper. He used to write. He would cut things out of newspapers and paste them. He was a paste and clip kind of guy, and then he would write his things from the things that he got from that. That was his way of starting his creative juices going, and pretty much everything's owned, and that's why this little conflict of our survival isn't a military conflict. It isn't an economic conflict. It's not even a theologic conflict. This is an aesthetic conflict. And that's why the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies is the way to go. We have to be the new Bauhaus, right? And what we were talking about earlier while I was eating my omelet was we have to step up and serve. That doesn't mean we have to be, you know, restraining any of our delights. No, but every time we express and experience our delights, we should do it in service to love's co-creation. Everything we do should be in love's co-creation. And when it is done in that level, that letter of the law of creation, then we will have an outstanding outcome. And humanity, the world is not going anyplace. People, these morons who theologically talk about end times, not really so much. I mean, you want to talk about some end times, you should talk about, the 900 years of the Dark Ages and the plague, that great scene from Monty Python's Meaning to Life, where the guy is pushing the cart, bring out your dad, bring out your dad, and his wife throws the husband out the window and lands on the cart, and then the guy goes, oh, and the cart guy looks at him. He goes, oh, I'm not dead yet. And then he whacks him upside the head and goes, you are now. Bring out your dad. Bring out your dad. Anyway, so if you're talking about end times, it's not happening. Even if a freaking asteroid came and whacked this place, it's not the end of times. It's just the beginning of another time, right? And the only way we can influence this in a positive way is through service to love's co-creation. That's the only way. And we have to use the platform of the World Wide Web, but not within the constraints of, any business model, Google or Facebook or whatever, because all they're doing is monetizing us. And that's, I'm not against that. And I'm not against anybody taking this, because it's basically, no matter how you chopped it up. I mean, JB is a good example. When he did the films of me talking about the Irish Crone and Jimi Hendrix and et cetera. Yeah, he took those and chopped them up and edited them and did them what he wanted, which is fine, because he added his aesthetic, which he didn't even understand that he was doing, but he did, and that was good. Even his point of view that the audience found annoying was still good. Still a point of reference of the artist in the first person. John is ahead of his time, so he was misunderstood. I'm a griot. I come from a long line, a tradition storyteller, so it's something that the audience snaps to because it's in their DNA to snap to. But John's comments from the Peanut Gallery were as important as the story because it gave an emotional context, the canary in the coal mine context. And so we need to do more and more of that because everyone is talking to me about how weird things are and, oh, what's going on? Oh, and it's no different than it ever. You want to talk about weird times? Go look between 1870 and the beginning of World War One. We had the greatest opportunity to bring heaven on earth. Technology was coming down the pike, and there was this, that's what this Civil War, it wasn't about slavery. It was, but in a more existential way, because the North had their own slaves. They were called Irish immigrants, and they were used as a cog in a machine, whereas the South had black African slaves who they'd had for generations, so they had an emotional bond to, and they were expensive, and they were also a investment because you buy a guy and a girl and they have kids, that's an investment. So you're not going to destroy your investment. You're not going to drive your tractor into a brick wall. Yes, there were some owners that were a little off the hook, but the rest of the slave owners would go, hey, Bob, cut that out. Listen, these folk are our family, and there's 70 black folk for every white slave owner. They could eat us for lunch. We had to keep them somewhat happy. And that was the South. And anyway, it wasn't about, the Southern agrarian and the Northern industrial. No, it was about France, England, and Russia basically wanting to take over the kind of control they had in the United States before the Revolution. And what the Revolution did was isolate France, Germany, and Russia from being in America and leaving England still in control, because after the War of 1812, the founding fathers just became the bitches of the king. And all of these royal families are bloodlines that go into the industrial families who feel that they have the ordained right to control the masses. They know better, right? God gave them the power to make the money. The industrialists after the Civil War, turned America into a corporate state, but there was enough freedom because they needed the population to be somewhat entrepreneurial to build the industrial base and the consumer base that they wanted. Sears was the, who's those guys who you buy shit on the internet? The Amazon. Sears was the Amazon of its time. The Sears catalog was the internet of its time. The telegraph office and the railroad was the Amazon of its time. It fostered mass consumption. So here we are, and no one's watching, and I have to get undercover before it gets too dark and I can't see. And I have to check out my tires. Anyway, so this is a good, solid, I'll talk till 10 minutes. Let's see. Good yawning. What time are you just waking up there? It's about 3 p.m. here in good old Virginia, which would be, let's see, 3 p.m. would be maybe 7 p.m. GMT. Anyway, so we're all on the good ship, HMS something or other. So our task, as all our relations, is to build a new aesthetic, a new way of looking at things, to in every day and every way be in co-creation with love's ability to take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. Within the construct of this, the powers that be can be the powers that be, but they just have to serve the higher good, not their ego, not their, it's not about them, me, I. No, it's about all our relations. And without that context, without that aesthetic context, it's on to the next for this planet. An asteroid, a plague, whatever, will just take it out. And the rich, it won't be that fun living in a world of that matter. There's so many, what do they call them? Disharmony constructs, 1984, Brave New World, you name it. The Hunger Games, dystopian, that's the word I was looking for. I mean, we've been in a dystopian civilization, since the Romans. Yep, and we're here to redefine the aesthetic. That's our job. That's our task. And we do it in every day and every way by taking the piece of the earth and making it stronger through our co-creation with love as the artist in the first person. I was looking at this big book, and I would show you it, but I'm scared that, the aesthetic police would say that I was going against, proprietorial rights. But Gustav Klimt, now there's a guy who redefined aesthetics, right? And not just in his drawings, but in every aspect. He was more a, Bauhausist, and he came, from an almost architectural point of view that, and the Bauhaus guys went from every point of reference, from the light coming in to the furniture to everything. And that's kind of what we have to do within the Institute of Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology. We have to become the new Bauhaus, right? We have to become the new Black Mountain School. We have to become the new, Dharma bums, We have to take the bus forward, not stay in the same place or go backward. We have to help all our relations to get unstuck. And so go look up, there's this gigantic book of Gustav Klimt's work. It's like weighs 40 pounds. I'm in the library. It's sad that I'm, if I put up anything, it gets taken straight down unless my face is in it. And soon they'll say this is going by someone's, database. Or, guys, you can't do that without paying me ungodly amount of money and giving me full run of saying whatever I want to say, and allowing, I'd be glad if you guys are the hands that shouldn't be, the powers that aren't. I'd be glad to get a check from you guys to start the Humanities Artist Trust, because it's going to be an aesthetic. You can pay for, you can even make a set of rules, but it's going to be an aesthetic that, is going to be a little aesthetic genetic needle in your arm that will change you for the better, because you will now serve love's co-creation rather than your fear's ego of your illusion that you call reality, that is hell on earth. Making ungodly amount of profit off of the death of billions of people is not very appropriate, So, and no matter what kind of devil worship you practice, it's still not, an aesthetically appropriate, adept aesthetic. Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies. It isn't that. Unless it's serving love's co-creation through all our relations, it's not that. Trying to control, incarcerate, kill, no, that's not that aesthetic. And it's non-sustainable. No matter what you do, you can't rebrand it to the point where it's sustainable. Never going to happen. I'm sorry. What are you guys saying here? Let's see. I have to put where's my other glasses? Yep, 9:30 a.m. afternoon. Stupid people don't help anything. Yeah, well, that's true. But we have to help stupid people to get smarter and not to get over, but to serve all our relations. Yeah, you like Clem's work. It's that it is like the physical, you know, personification of the Institute of Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology. It's the total deal, total package. Right. And see, the worship is we don't worship anything but love's co-creation. You can't. I keep saying. Saint Germain said that nothing can be truly manifested from anything but love. Without love, whatever you're making is an illusion, doesn't exist. And you know, so you're just putting yourself in a real bad position if you think devil worship can, manifest what you want. A marathon, yes, I'm all for it. How cold is it? Well, it's been pretty cold. It was like down in the maybe -7 C, and right now it's probably -1 C. So, but it's supposed to get warmer tomorrow and the next and the next. And it's supposed to rain this weekend, which should get rid of the snow. The snow is still pretty deep. I mean, they're doing a pretty good job of cleaning the roads and shoveling out the parking lots. But there's like 1.5 foot of snow right on the edge of the road. So I'm still some. Go get a coffee. I can relate. I've already had about 3 or 4, and I'm pretty lucky. A lot of people, coffee can make them psychotic. Me, not so much. It just moves my bowels a little more. Oh, here's an interesting one. Other aesthetics for applied alchemical transformation. Yep. Beyond metaphysical. Yep. More in the physical actions. Yep. Flood ritual thought must successfully practitioner you have experience with. Okay. Ceremony is the key. The key to ceremony is breath. Breath leads you into meditative state where you can go into the other dimensions very easily through your Akashic records, and then over that bridge into your superconscious mind, right? Now you got other doors. You got 8 other doors other than the one that's first open for you to go into your higher mind. So practice that. That's the first step. Breath, meditative state, illuminated mirror, taking the light into your subconscious, illuminating your library of your Akashic record, looking into your Akashic record for any information you want, going to your library, hey, I want to know about this, this, or this. Your librarian will bring you that information. Whatever you don't understand, which it might be, from another construct, I was watching Doctor Strange, the Marvel movie. And that's a really good movie. You want to know about aesthetic, parlor tricks? Go see that. And the sessions that they show are really ones that exist. The books in that library that Dr. Strange kind of swipes, that the librarian goes, "How'd you get those? You're not supposed to read those." And he plops them on the librarian's desk, and then they kind of fall over to the side. If you freeze on that, those are books. If you want to know that stuff, those 7 books there will give you, and if you Google them, or go to Wikipedia, which will give you a good reference of what they are, where they came from, where you might find them, and if you went that's the nice thing about Google and Wikipedia. You keep going; it takes you deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, and then you get on their algorithm, and you get on their radar screen, and they'll shovel you all the information you want. Just got to be careful not to serve those morons. That's when you get written in, and you don't want that. So, and you can deal with those guys. I've dealt with them my whole friggin' life. It's not. It's who you serve. I serve love's co-creation and have since the day I was born, because I'm just a stupid monkey boy who follows love's co-creation. I've been saved by it, served it, been it. That's why I'm, shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. I'm here to serve love's higher calling. So, because of that, hey, I can go look at anything. I can go dig around in anybody's pit, and I don't have to serve them. And they understand this, and they have been, most of my life. They thought they had got me once I was swimming in the jacuzzi of chocolate mousse of the Desperate Warriors. But, I died and came back. I was reborn again as Sensei Al Bob, And that's, what it is. And what, I've died 6 times so far. I guess I have another 3 to go. I got another, wife left in me that allegedly is going to have children with me, So that's a few years. And the thing about life, at least in this mortal coil, is that mortality gives you the perspective of what our lives are about. Because we only have a limited time here, instead of getting stuck in the, I don't know what to do. Oh, I don't know how to pay my bill. Oh, I'm worried. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, no, stop that. It's just a distraction of you stepping up. Author methods. Let's see. Well, I've had many great teachers, and I've had a lot of my deepest friends die in my arms, and I was blessed to be with them when they died, so I could share in that, and my mother was one of them, and I had the gifts and talents, and when my mom died, we had a nurse who, we had people I got people to stay with my parents 24/7, 4 different people. And the one who stayed at night was the best, this black woman. Her name was Timothy. Her father had 5 daughters. She was the 6th. He wanted a son, so he named her Timothy. Anyway, and she was really she had been doing it for 20 years. Anyway, long story short, she comes into my bedroom at about 3 a.m, wakes me up. She used to call me Mr. Owl, Mr. Owl, Mr. Owl. Yes, your mother's dying. Okay, so I go in there, and she has the death rattle. It's when her lungs are full with water, right? And, she sounds like she's drowning, because she is. So, we had this little box in the refrigerator with Ativan and a few other things, to dry out her lungs and a few other stuff. So I called the number on the box, which, got the doctor out of bed, and I administered the Ativan, and then I administered the other drug that would dry her lungs out. And she just, her heart was racing. Her blood pressure was like over the moon. I had a cuff, and I was taking her blood pressure, and her pulse was like 390. I mean, it was like she was about to blow up, and her little eyes were like this. But I can't even reproduce the death rattle. I don't know if any of you have heard it, but anyway, so I said, okay, I'm just going to go into state here and go see where my mom is, because she wasn't there. So I go into state, and she is in her old apartment building in New York City in 1937. When she was the granddam, she was in an amazing evening gown, this slinky long thing, and all these men in tuxedos were around her, and she was drinking her Manhattan out of a beautiful glass. And I walk up, in the pajamas I was wearing, and she looks at me and she goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I just came to visit." She goes, "You're not supposed. This isn't your time. You're not supposed to be here." I said, "Come on, you're not supposed to be, awake enough to notice me." And she goes, "Well, I can see you. You're my boy. You're my son." Anyway, and she introduced me all the guys in the tuxedos, and they were all, Mr. This and Mr. That, and Tom, Miss Merton was there, and a few other people who were, somebody I really liked. Anyway, I kind of got distracted by talking to Thomas Merton. Anyway, I came back, popped back in, and the Timothy was shaking me. "Your mom, wake up, wake up." Oh. You fell asleep? And I said, "Nah, another thing." And she goes, "Your mom hasn't slowed down. It's been been 10 minutes since we gave her, do it again." So I hit her again. And Ativan is basically morphine. It's an opiate. It's supposed to slow you down. Not so much. And she's still gargling away in her lungs. And so I hit her up again. And, this time I got my little watch and I'm looking at, response time. So now it's been almost 15 minutes since A, I called the doctor, B, I gave her first, substance, and then hit her again, and we're still thinking about the third time. So we hit her with the last of the box. So we do it because either her heart slows down and her blood pressure goes down, or she's gonna stroke out or just die, just blow up. So hit her with the third, protocol, and 5 minutes go by, ding dong, and so I open the door and there's the nurse. Who's the doctor really? Anyway, nurse practitioner, and she kind of runs in and she hooks my mom up to all this apparatus, and she goes, "So where's the box?" I give her the box, and she goes, "So you gave her all the box?" I said, "Yep." And I said, "It's been over a 30-minute period, so really she should just be goo by now, right?" And she said, your mom's got more in her than most drug addicts, so yeah, she should be goo by now. Her heart definitely should slow down, but man, her heart rate is like, we don't get this slowed down in the next 5 minutes, your mom's going to be just dead. Period. That's it. I'm gonna say no more. I said, "Okay, what should we do?" She goes, "Well, I can't say. You're the only parental. You're the grown up in the room. What do you want me to hit her again? And this time I'll give her an IV. That should really do it." I said, "This stuff will either kill her or save her, one or the other. But it's your choice. What should we do?" I said, she's gonna die. Might as well give her a 50-50 shot at coming back." So we did. And she shot her up, and I went back into state, and my mom was still in the evening gown, smoking a cigarette and drinking her Manhattan. And I said, "Come on, Mom, come on back." And she goes, "Why should I come back? What's there for me to come back? I'm having a good time here." I said, "Yeah, but, the most important thing is you haven't had the last rites." And my mom was a stone cold Catholic beyond belief. She goes, "Ooh, that's right. Haven't had the last." Okay. She goes, "Now you have to promise me not to let me be a carrot." I said, "No, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna come back. You're not gonna be a carrot, and I will make sure that Father Larry shows up, within a day. So if you want to bail, you can." And she goes, "Okay, I trust you. You're the only one in the family I trust. So, okay. And I want to tell you how much I've loved you over the years and how proud I am." And she gave me all the 411 that I knew neither of my parents could tell me anything emotional, how they felt. But she kind of, in her Nazi way, told me how much she cared. So I said, that's all I want to hear, Mom. So I came out of state, and as I came out of state, the nurse said, "Where'd you go?" How did you fall asleep like that in the middle of this? I said, I'll tell you another time. But she's coming back. She goes, you're right. Your mother's blood pressure just dropped, and it's to normal, and her heart rate is like, at 75 standing. It's like, this is a miracle. I say, yeah, that's kind of what happens. And so that right there was one of those miraculous moments, and I've had many, 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 many. And if you go to my blogspot, my xratted.blogspot.com, and read that stuff, in the different cuts that there are. I think there's 6 or 7 of them. And you might, if you can, download them to your hard drive, because again, it's another thing that might just mysteriously go away. And I keep trying to tell you guys that I have 26 novels. That's just 3/4 of one of them. And I have about 80 short stories. And I have about 400 white papers, essays on aesthetics and, everything that lays out the whole plan. But that first little 3/4 of a novel is a ceremonial, a shamanic ceremonial, little hidden secret, In there are codes of breaking this down in the alchemical way. Meaning it is like chemical, when you have your little chemistry set and you have the equation of how many, you balance out the equation. Well, that little, so go read that. I keep telling you guys, go read xratted.blogspot.com. It's right there, and download it into your computer so you have it to study. I have no idea how long that might stay up. And, we have to, have to build another platform that's a little more resilient than this one, that's based on our protocols rather than some corporate protocols, right? Because, the World Wide Web was designed to survive nuclear holocaust. So if we go down to that base foundation structure and build our platform up from it, we can build a pretty, robust, steady, sturdy little platform, okay? Okay. So this is your Sensei Al Bob. It's been 32 minutes and 47 seconds. Let me go back and see what you guys have been saying here. So after gross intimidation failed on me. Okay, wait. We have to go further up here. Okay, let's see. Hey, a marathon. Yep. I'm all for the marathon. I'm still waking. Okay, go get your coffee. Other aesthetics were applied, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Sweet, thank you. What person or event? Death. Anyone not busy being born is busy dying. Yep, the green line. Yep. Or Shawshank Redemption. Yep. Is that a preliminary embolism? Is what my ex passed with. She just had what they call the death rattle. Her lungs were full of water. I'm not, that I'd have to go study what that caused. But she had everything wrong with her, just like I do. She just, wasn't. She was doing what the doctor said rather than what the shaman said. It's amazing state. Yep. Father and mother, yep. Yep, exactly. Everyone's different. Yeah, I can't do drugs, period. A little bit of chiba every now and then is nice, but I'm Mr. Moderation in all things. I had two cocktails a couple, I don't know, 2 weeks ago when I looked drunk on that chat, and you were all somewhat aghast. Someone said, "Hey, you're buzzed." That's exactly what I was. I wasn't drunk. I was buzzed. I really can't have more than 2 drinks because it just doesn't make me feel right. It takes me out of who I am. Yes, bottle of vodka. Let's see. So after the gross. Yep. We can do whatever, like what Buddy is describing here. We have the power to do whatever we wish. We just have to serve the higher good of love's co-creation and never give up. The whole secret to success is never give up. Like what's the worst that can happen? We die? That's not the worst. It's fine. It's good. Yep. It just general disgusting words. And as my grandma always said, using foul language is the sign of a really stupid person. But sometimes it works. Yes, it is quite an amazing little, and it only took them 2,000 years to put a restaurant in the freaking library, and they let you eat wherever you want to sit down. And you can talk. That's the other amazing thing. They do have quiet rooms, but you can talk. And behind me, I don't know if you can see it, right in there is a teenage room where everyone's hooked up to RV or VR, virtual reality. And downstairs is where all the little kids between 0 and 7 run around and scream and play hobby horse, and old people read them stories. Yeah, we can inflict really bad things on our poor neighbors. We have to be a good neighbor, just like Mr. Rogers. It's a lovely day in the neighborhood. Wouldn't you like to be my neighbor? Hey, neighbor, how's all our relations? I hope good. Well, this is your Sensei Al Bob. It's 37 and 46. I may do a live chat from the presidential suite of the $40 a night motel. And yes, it will look like a Bruegel painting and sound like like I'm inside a working dryer. But we'll see where that goes. Anyway, I got to get home before the sun goes down and the ice starts to form on my wings. I love you guys. Stay well, be good. Okie dokie.